Welcome to Mentor Conversations at SCORE Houston, where we bring you insights and stories from our mentors. You'll hear from senior executives, entrepreneurs, and professionals who volunteer their time to guide small businesses. SCORE is America's largest network of volunteer business mentors and is supported by the U.S. Small Business Administration. In Houston, we provide free, confidential mentoring and education to help entrepreneurs start, grow, and succeed. Now, let's dive into today's mentor conversation.
I'm P.V. Bala, a mentor at SCORE Houston and the host for today's podcast. Today, we are honored to introduce a truly exceptional mentor, Dr. Lalitha Raman. Dr. Raman brings a wealth of expertise across accounting, finance, tax, and the education sector. With 26 years of distinguished service to the city of Houston, she has held pivotal roles spanning health services, parks and recreation, engineering, public works, and environmental stewardship. Before her impactful public sector career, Dr. Raman built a strong foundation in research, having contributed to Carnegie Mellon, Michigan State University, and Baba Atomic Energy in India. Her academic credentials are equally impressive. A BSc Honors in Physics from University of Madras, a PhD from Michigan State, MS in Accounting from University of Houston, and she is a certified public accountant. Dr. Raman is also deeply engaged in our community. She served for 8 years with the Bracewood Place Owners Association and has held leadership roles in women's accounting and business groups, advancing women in finance and business leadership. In today's episode, we'll explore Dr. Raman's journey from physics and research to city budgets, how these unique experiences shaped her mentoring philosophy, and why she's dedicated to helping entrepreneurs and small business in Houston thrive.
It's a pleasure talking with you. It's been an experience being with SCORE. It's been an experience being in the United States for more than 50 years. I came in 1967. I was a resident of southern India, where our community pays a lot of interest and encouragement for people to study. They want them to study, go to college, get a degree. And in my time, when I was young, obviously, it was not very common for girls to go to the university and study because many times you wouldn't find it's convenient to travel and go to school. But my father encouraged me to go to college, and I did go. And I wanted to first apply for statistics because my friend had said statistics was the best field. But I didn't get in there. I got into physics, and I wasn't very sure what I was getting into, but it turned out to be rather interesting because, like Bala said, I did physics honors. Honors in that University of Madras is a unique kind of program because they don't take a lot of students. We were only 5 girls and 3 boys in my class, only 8. And the hard part of that is if you take the exams after the final year and you don't pass, then you don't get a full degree. You get a recommended degree, which is not very good. So you have only one chance for taking the exam. So a lot of people don't like to take that chance. So they don't want to do that. They would rather do the regular undergraduate program. But I went to a prestigious university. Anyone that has heard the name of Dr. Chandrasekhar, Dr.
Yeah.
Raman, these are all Nobel laureates from India in science. They went to that school. And so it was an honor to be in the school. And I studied there. And after I finished, I was looking for something to do. And I got a job in Baba Atomic Energy. Baba Atomic Energy was again a very unique place. Dr. Baba, Homi Baba, he had started the atomic energy program in India and built the first research reactor in Trombey outside of Bombay.
Yes,
And I was in a program which we called radiation protection. That is, our job was to protect anybody from being exposed to very high levels of radiation. And that's what we started. But it's very interesting. We moved on to radiation protection, not just in reactors and atomic energy. We moved into health because those days they were having the first X-ray machines and cobalt machines treating for cancer. So we used to plan how you don't get overexposed, people working in those labs. That's how I got introduced to radiation protection. And a few of my friends then decided they were going to America to study. So I applied. Since I hadn't done any more physics, I applied for universities that had a program that was more on what I thought would apply to me. I didn't want to be in health. Bala, I'm a softie. I'm a softie. I start crying very easily. So I don't like to be with patients who are dying and the family gets very upset. So I chose biophysics because that was understanding how our different things, how biological actions can be converted and understood physically. So that is where I went in. So we can see how moving your arm sends an electrical impulse to your brain and how your brain reacts for that. And that is where I was. And one of the things that I studied was how people can be given radiation without going through these machines, but using chemicals. And how does the chemical transfer that energy from the chemistry, like radium or spectroscopy, to a biological molecules? That was where I did energy transfer. And after I finished that, I went to Carnegie Mellon University, and there again, we were studying the nerves, brain, how the brain cells were working. And again, it's electrical impulses in your brain that is being understood by our body. And that's what I did. And when I was there at Carnegie Mellon for 3 years, believe it or not, Carnegie Mellon in those days was just beginning to be a small university, very highly interested in research. And then from there, I wanted to go back to India, but couldn't go back. So I took up another postdoc and came to Houston again to study the retina. And I studied retina, how the impulses, your electrical impulses, activates the retina, which has a chemical reaction, then again transfers to your brain. That's what I was doing. But unfortunately, research is great. But again, you get money for 2 years and then you have to apply again for another grant and you have to move. And also, you don't get any vacation, no time off. And I wanted to have something that I can go to India to see my parents. They were getting old and all that. So that's how I chose to move on to the city of Houston. And they even asked me, what are you going to be doing? Doing a PhD and then coming to do something very simple. It's like, that's okay. There are some benefits. I started doing environmental program. And those days in 76, you couldn't believe. You wouldn't be able to see any buildings in downtown Houston. The smog was so great. The ozone was so high. The sulfur dioxide was terrible because we were using oil from Venezuela, which had a high sulfur content. So you could be so bad that you could. So we put in a lot of equipment to understand what was going on, study. And then I was getting there, but they treated me extremely well. I got moved up and we even published a couple papers in environmental program and all that. Then I said, okay, what do I do now? And I thought, I'm good in numbers and everybody's doing accounting. So let me do accounting. So I went to University of Houston and went and studied the MS in accounting. But couldn't get a job because I was beyond that age. Even now, if you're a CPA and you are past 30 plus, they don't take you for jobs. See, that was what happened to me when I came here. I wanted to be in science, but the big companies won't take me because I was over 30. They wouldn't take the job. That's how I went to the city. And then I did my accounting and couldn't get a job. I thought, then said, oh, do a CPA, then you can get a job. Okay. I did a CPA again, and it was hard, but there was an opening for a chief accountant in the Parks and Recreation Department.
Okay.
So I moved from environmental to Parks and Recreation. I am lucky, Bala, because whatever I go, I move up quickly. I was very lucky that as soon as I got there as chief accountant, the next thing was they said, oh, you are too good doing this job. We're going to put you in charge of budget. So I went on to become the assistant director in technology, taking care of the computer and also. So I moved up and I was there. And believe it or not, being in Parks and Recreation is interesting because I'm not a sports person. I don't even watch sports programs. In Parks and Recreation,
You're a sporting person.
But being in Parks and Recreation, I was in charge of 5 golf courses. Didn't know what golf was, but here I was in charge of golf courses and 3 tennis centers. There's one golf course in the city of Houston on the northeast part, beautiful place. It's right there on the bayou and so beautiful, green trees and so lovely. So I was in Parks and Recreation and we redid the golf course at Memorial and did all that. Then interesting part of it was they wanted to give one of the golf courses and contract it out. But the mayor and the head of the department, not the head, they had a new person. They started colluding and they wanted to really not put it out for bidding, they were going to give it. And some of us were not very happy with that. And when the mayor found out that we were not very happy, one day I was called and said, we are moving you to Public Works. Said, huh? So they moved me to Public Works and they put me in a corner in a booth and said, you can sit here. I'm sitting there for 2-3 months. But after 2-3 months, they realized, hey, this lady can do much better than sitting in that corner. So again, they made me in charge of a section and I went into charge for the city, the Public Works is all their equipment and being in charge. And the city, the government came up with a new rule that the city has to put every piece of big equipment in the city on their books. That means everything had to be valued, not just the water plants and place plants and all that. Even the streets, every street, what condition the street is and what it is. So you wouldn't believe we did an analysis, had somebody look at the streets and all that. Almost several $1 billion worth of thing on the budget, on the city's books, So, and you won't believe after that, during all my years in city, 4 mayors recognized my work, and I have awards from 4 mayors.
Oh, that's wonderful.
All hanging up there. So that's what it was. And then I decided it was time. 26 years was a long time to work in any place. So 2003, my mom was getting old and she was not well, so I quit. And that was all right. I went to India for a couple of months and all. And when I came back, didn't know what to do. But my homeowners association, where they have an office, and I went there and volunteered there for a while. But then my husband, he retired after me, and he found through someone's school. And he started working in school, but he helped another gentleman who was doing education. He used to do an all-day seminar. He would go there and set up and all. So I would go by and help them and all. And as soon as the people found out that I was a CPA, everybody started coming to me and said, hey, can you tell us how to do this tax, how to do that? Then SCORE said, no, you cannot do that to anybody unless you become a mentor.
Yeah, correct.
So within a year after Venkat joined, I joined SCORE as a mentor and started working as a mentor. I've been there almost 12, 13 years now. And because I started with education, I was always interested in the education part. And after a few years, they made me in charge of education.
Very good.
And
Okay.
so I started working on education in addition
Mm.
of working on Thursdays and mentoring people. Education is a wonderful part of school. I really think that is wonderful because many people, when they come, I always tell this to everybody. You don't find this in India, for example. Suppose you want to start a business in India, you just open a shop or you open a business. Whereas here, they have a way where you have to register your company, you have to do your tax stuff and all that. All that is step by step. And we used to do this all day seminar. And then I said, we need to do more. And everybody would ask me, do this, do that. And I'm going to tell you, so surprisingly, when I became the president for education,
Okay.
guess what? We used to do workshops and things starting from Conroe in the north to
Okay. Oh,
Friendswood, Pearland in the south, on the west to Beaumont on the east. Look at the distances you have to go to
absolutely.
from
Phenomenal.
Sugarland and
Yeah.
Rosenberg to the east corner. And so I was busy and it was nice because I could invite people to speak, made a lot of friends, not only in school mentors, but outside speakers. They would come and they would teach. And we started collaborating with libraries of all the places. Because libraries are places where they have a room where you can come, you can
Yeah.
invite people and make presentation. So we taught at libraries all over the place.
Mhm.
All Friendswood, Clear Lake, we would go to the big library there. And
Okay.
the attendance in the libraries, in some of the libraries, will be 60, 70 people will
Oh,
come,
yeah. Lovely.
And what we used to do was we used to ask them to fill out a form and say, you can always come to school. We got a lot of traffic coming into
Oh,
school because we had these
okay.
workshops, And
Yeah.
also in the workshops, we just didn't teach them only to register your company. No, we had our own speakers, lawyers who could talk about leader was one. There's another
Yeah.
gentleman who could talk about trademarks and those kind of thing. We also talked about funding. Funding is the most important part for a small business
Yeah.
because people don't understand that when you come, you can open the door, but to keep it running for 2 or 3 or 6 months, you need money. And
Yeah. And that is estimated also. They
yeah,
don't realize the importance of having the
cash.
sufficient money to
Yeah,
get the business
money.
running.
Correct. That's
Very
why
true.
we used to have SBA would come and they would
Yeah.
talk about how the different loans were, how you could
Mm.
apply for the loan, what you had to do. So that was an important part. And
Absolutely.
I made friends with a couple of CPAs that work, believe it or not, in companies that were analyzing how the IRS has established
Okay.
new ways where you can take your IRA money,
Uh-huh.
your individual
Yeah. Yeah. That's
retirement
right.
account money.
That's right. Yeah.
And if you take money out of your IRA, guess what? You have to pay taxes. But
Yeah.
this way you structure it, you don't pay any taxes. You just
Mm-hmm.
use the money for the business, but you don't pay the taxes. There's a
Oh,
special
that's
provision.
very good.
And there
Lovely.
were some
Yeah.
CPAs who did that. So they would
Yeah.
come and they would tell people, because young people, what happens is now, you're looking at it now, a lot of people are getting laid off. And when they get laid off, they think, oh, I can use my IRA money. They don't understand that it has a very big
Mm.
tax problem. And these people would be very good and they will tell you how you can do that. Similarly,
Okay.
like October, November, we have a franchise expo in Houston where there are so many different companies that do different franchising. Franchising is also a good method of starting a business.
Mm.
What they will do is franchising. And we had two people that would give presentations on franchising. How do
Okay.
you look for franchising?
Yeah.
And what happens when you sign an agreement with the franchisor? Because a franchisor will require that you have to pay them a certain amount of money.
Royalty. Yeah.
And you have to follow their rules. Like, for
Absolutely.
example, tomorrow I want to open a McDonald's. I'm going to have the golden arches.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have to offer what they are offering for food wise and all that. So those contracts become very critical for
Yeah.
anybody doing franchising. And
Yeah.
we have a wonderful, wonderful mentor who was specializes in buying and selling businesses.
Oh,
A
correct.
lot of hard men people will come and
Yeah.
say, I want to buy this
Yeah.
business. But when you want to buy a business, you need to see what you are buying. I can tell
Mm.
you from my own personal experience, didn't
Mhm.
know any better. Me and my friend, we didn't know any better. We saw a travel agency come for sale. And
Oh.
we thought, oh, great, we can buy this travel agency. So we went and bought the travel agency.
I
And
see.
then
Funny.
we realized that in order to manage the travel agency, you have to have someone who is certified by the International Association of Travel.
Correct. Yeah.
And, and the people who sold us didn't tell us. They were retired couples from Shell.
Mm.
They had been in business for almost 10 years. But
Okay.
with the cheap tickets coming up, the business was going down. But they used to do a lot of travel. You
Mm.
go on these cruises
Cruises.
and
Yeah.
stuff. But we had no friends who
Yeah.
were going on cruises. So we didn't do that well. So after about 2 years, we decided time to sell.
Yeah.
But
That's
our
an experience.
mentor,
Yeah.
our mentor, Jeff Jones, he's very
Oh.
he and some of our other mentors also can look at documents to people that want to buy
Yeah.
a business and tell them, ask them, why are they selling? Is the
Correct.
business going down? Look at their tax returns. Is it making
Mm.
money or it is losing money?
Yeah.
What is the difference? Because markets change. What you did last year may not go now. Those kind of things have to be taken into account when you
Mm.
are planning to invest money. So
Mm.
buying a business also becomes critical. So you start a business, you buy a business, and I have worked very closely with the SBA, the Small Business
Correct.
Administration.
Yeah.
They have a class that they used to teach, like
Right.
almost like a 6 month class, where they take people that have already been in business for a few years, are doing well, and teach them how to grow their business. What
Mm.
is the important part in growing the business?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
I worked with them quite a bit. And,
Yeah.
doing funding has always been a good thing because working with SBA,
Yeah.
learn to work with a lot of banks.
Yes.
There are
That's
so
correct. Yeah.
many good banks, and they help to fund small businesses
Mm-hmm.
because the SBA will guarantee the loan. So if the guy is not able to pay back, the bank won't lose any money because
Yeah.
SBA will pay for it.
That's right. Yeah.
And so those kind of things, you develop relationship with bankers.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how you work with the banks and the
Yeah.
small numbers,
Yeah.
or what we call CDFIs,
That's
Community
right.
Development Fund. They
That's
give
right.
smaller loans.
That's right.
We get a lot of people that come to us and ask, how can I get a loan? How much money? What is it for? Make
Mm.
a list of all the things that you're going to spend the money on and then go to the bank. Just don't go to the bank and say, I want $50,000. Bank will ask, what are you going to use it for?
True.
So
Yeah.
you need to make a list of all the costs and
Yeah.
all that. And the
Mm.
bank will ask for a simple business plan. You don't need a 50-page business plan, but a small business plan, the ingredient. So many people, when they come to the office, that's what we tell them. How to
Correct.
do
Yeah.
a simple business plan, how to do a cash flow, and basic thing. I get a lot of mentors asking for help on doing their taxes or accounting and things like that, which I try to help some. But as a mentor, we cannot do their taxes. We
Of
cannot
course.
write that contracts, but
Very
we can
true.
review what they're doing.
Yeah. True.
So those are the kind of thing. And you had kind of mentioned what was the about the client. I had two clients. We participate in business plan competition with
Yeah.
the
That's right.
Houston
Yeah. Of
Community
course.
College and
Yeah.
top Houston with City of Houston, where
That's
they
right.
get some money. And
Yeah.
last 2 years have been very good to me. My client won $8,000 last year. And the
Wow.
year before, he won the third place. So I had two years in a row.
So
That
what
was
businesses they were getting into?
one was doing some marketing kind. The other
Okay.
one had the one guy had a product that he was selling, hair products. And
Uh-huh.
but the guy came first. He had no idea of doing cash flow, nothing. He had even filed for taxes,
Oh,
but those
okay.
kind of thing. You kind
Yeah.
of work with them and help them. The
Yeah.
HCC has their own classes and all that. But
Yeah.
working with the HCC has been so good
Yes.
because you work with them. And I recently was called by HCC Southwest. They are
Yeah.
going to introduce some new programs. And they
Okay.
wanted to know what are good programs to introduce. And
Uh-huh.
I told them, hey, business you have, but teach them how to do a little bit of accounting. And
Very true.
the thing is, marketing. Marketing is not my forte, but
Yeah.
people need to know how to market. How is a
Correct.
product going to be sold?
That's right.
We worked with a lot of churches too,
Yeah.
because churches have different fairs, and the
Yeah.
church down here is very.
Yeah.
We work a lot with chambers of commerce,
Correct.
small
Mm.
business schools, HCC, library, and chambers of commerce. I get a lot
Yeah.
of calls still saying we have a chamber, because when you go there and you introduce yourself, the members in the chamber realize that you can go to school for any kind of extra
That's right.
information that they don't have. So you get a flow of clients coming
Mm.
through,
Mm.
going through the chambers as well.
Yeah.
The two people that won was very good. And then you had asked me what happened now. Like we talked about job loss. People are
Yeah.
coming to the office and asking whether they can start a consulting business.
Correct.
Some people want to do health related, opening up senior citizen homes and things like that are
That's
coming.
why, like you said, the two awards of your students also. One is to, of course, the deficiency in marketing or finance could be pretty detrimental to a business. But to come out with an idea of what business you want to get into, not that anything will fit you. You got to have some interest, some background, some passions, some linkage to why you select a business. Just because somebody friend told me that's an opportunity, but such opportunities are very there are too many people already chasing any
Yeah,
kind of. So you got to have business is a long term.
right.
Unless you are able to sustainable interest, you can have it's very difficult to start, isn't
You
it?
know, very correct. See, my own experience of the travel agency, my husband and a bunch of people, when I first came to Houston, they had a restaurant.
Mm,
When you have a restaurant, you don't understand how much work is to be done in a restaurant. So
exactly.
when people come and ask me, I want to open a restaurant or a food place, do things at home, then I always tell them, go and work in a restaurant for a short
Correct.
time. That way you learn what is it that you
Precisely.
have to do. And
Precisely.
same thing with any other field, unless
Mm,
you have some experience, you don't understand what are the good things and what are the bad things.
correct.
You have to have some experience.
That's right. Yeah, because you do come across people saying that I want to start this. When I ask them, what background do you have? They have nothing. But when you are out of job and you have little money and you go for a business where you have no background too, you're putting even that money at risk now.
Yeah.
Yeah, then it's easy to ask for funding, but you don't realize that the funding, the debt has to be repaid. Unless you are generating enough cash, you cannot repay the money. It's a very one has to be very thoughtful of doing.
The other thing also, Bala, is that if you are a young person, a middle-aged person, you have a family. So you
That's right.
always have to worry about how the family is going to be supported. So
Correct.
sometimes we do ask them, do you have anybody in the family that can help you support the family?
Yeah.
That's an additional pressure on your mind. Not only running the business, how are you going to generate enough cash to support the family? The kids have to be sent to school and things like that. It's very, very, very important that you understand that It's the business it may take you a while to make a good amount of money so you can
That's right.
support your family. So you need somebody family. When we teach our classes, you might have realized that we tell them you have to understand. Many people think, oh, I don't like my boss, so I want to be starting my own thing. I said,
Yeah, true.
every customer is the boss. He's going to tell you what you
Exactly. And those bosses are a little more difficult because you can't say no to a customer and you can't say the customer is wrong too.
That's correct.
That's very
Because you
true.
want the
Like it.
customer to come back. So
Yeah.
with that result, you cannot say anything. So you're going to have to learn to understand not just one boss. Suddenly you have many more bosses. Also, another thing is a thing that goes beyond is people think doing a business, it's not like working. Oh, I can go when I want, No, you can't do that. In a
No, no.
business, you most probably will be spending more time, lot
Exactly.
more time. Buying, planning, all that takes a lot of time.
Unless it occupies your mind 24/7, you cannot
Yeah.
succeed also.
Doing
In the
a
early
business is
years,
time consuming.
and there is
Yeah.
nothing like work life. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a tough, difficult task, but you have to be ready for it.
Yeah. You know,
So,
one of the other things also SCORE has is that when a person comes to you and says, I want to start a business, it's not our responsibility to tell them you can't do that.
of course,
We
yeah.
can only support them, advise them. Like
Yeah.
the other day, I heard a lady come up and she said, I asked her, you want to borrow money? What's your credit score? She said it's 500. 500, no bank will give.
Yeah.
I said, are you sure you only have 500? She said, yeah, it just got bad because my business, I was with partners with my business. I got a divorce and all that. I
Oh,
said, in that case, you go back and tell
correct.
the banker, before this mess happened, my
Yes.
credit score was 700. I
That,
had a good credit score all
very
the
true.
time. And this unexpected things
Unexpected
happened,
thing.
dropped in my credit score. And I'm very positive that my credit score can be done better. Explain why your credit score dropped. Because without understanding that, if you just go with the 500 credit score, the bank won't
True.
even talk to you.
Very true. Absolutely right. Yeah.
And we have a group that helps us to improve. People, if they have some, if they need help, they can
Yes.
help to improve their, they have
Yeah.
a credit score, the bridge path. They help people to improve their credit score. So
Yeah.
that's what they'll be looking for.
Absolutely. So, Lalitha, you have, I think, so much of experience, so much of interaction, so much of in mentoring clients that you had over the years now. Phenomenal kind of experience that you have. So,
Yeah.
what makes mentoring successful? What I'm not asking about consulting. We don't do consulting. We do mentoring. Mentoring is something vastly different. So, when it has to be successful, the person whom you are mentoring, he should be satisfied, and you yourself need to be satisfied at the end of the day. Look,
I
that was
think,
nice. I feel good. So
yeah.
what has been your experience? What do you feel about that?
Our mission comes up. One has to have a lot of patience to listen. You have to listen, be patient, and see what they are saying to you, and then you can suggest. But you can go back and call them and check with them. But many times they come, they do things, and they go back. So yeah, all I can say is over the years I have learned how to listen. Listening is very, very important. They may come to you like this guy who said he had sold this product for 3 years, never paid sales tax, never paid income
Oh,
tax, nothing. Yeah, then I told him, you better register your company now.
yeah.
And many people also want to export. You want to export, import, many people. And there are agencies that can help with the export, import. And then we've been working very closely with the ION and the other place,
That's right.
both of them, and they do a lot of technical stuff. And
Correct.
the SBA has two different special grants for that, SBIR and STTIR, where they even give you funding in the initial part. Because
Yeah.
in a business, they have want you to establish and do all that. But here, they may give you the initial place where you are testing it and doing it. And those are good. And if you go to the IL, you get a lot of good experience. And we have a
Correct.
good mentor there too. So we're covering a whole bunch of
I know.
areas.
I
But
know.
I think we hope with more and more. It's amazing how many people, how many businesses are registered in the Houston, Harris County area. Thousands of them trying to do business all the time.
Yeah, very true. I mean, see, 97% of the business are all small businesses.
Yeah, right.
It's tell me, I mean, the last, like you mentioned, there are a lot of people laid off now. Unfortunate, but laid off. The market environment is also quite turbulent now. Very
Yeah.
lot of uncertainty. So people at this situation come to you day in, day out and ask about, like, I have someone coming in on Saturday. She wants to know what ideas I should pursue. I want to start a business. And there are others coming on with a business. But there are some, quite many are quite concerned with the situation. And what do you think? What kind of an advice, word of encouragement you can give them?
All we can say is if they're wanting to do business, all we can say is, hey, whatever you think, make a list of things that you have the knowledge and you have the experience, and maybe you can select something. Or you make a list of all the stuff that you want to do, and maybe then you can narrow it down. Putting something on paper and pencil, I mean, paper always makes you think better than just talking, doesn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's what I would suggest because you have experience in this, try this. If you have something else in mind, think about it.
Yeah.
And these days, there are a lot of business plans. Like when I used to teach them, I had a Google printout that said for every business, what should be the amount sold and cost of goods and the money you make and how much you should have. They have percentages for different businesses, what percentage you should expect. So they can look at the business plan, they can
guidelines.
a lot of things are there
That's
nowadays. But still it's not that personal satisfaction. You can go to Chat GPT and print out, but still working with someone who has done that and has helped people would be a much better way to go.
Exactly. Like you said, people let's go with 35, 40 years of experience
Yeah.
with qualification at all levels of management and all kind of businesses. They really truly have the expertise in them and they are come to score for nothing. I mean, not for monetary spend. They are investing their time really to help small businesses and mentoring people who come to them. It's a great opportunity. Like you said, not any other country has this kind of a facility. It's a unique opportunity for potential small business. So last one question. Last couple of questions. Vidya. So this journey so far for you, 15 years, 17 years, looking back at your life, so and professional journey. So how do you look at it nostalgically and
There are two aspects to it, Bala. One is you are helping a lot of people, a lot of young people, which we didn't have when we tried to do something. So that is one good thing. The other thing is the camaraderie that we have with the store mentors. You are part of a big family. You are part of the family that is there.
That's right.
So, and I have known people when we had somebody was in the hospital, somebody was sick or needed help. Core mentors work together. So that camaraderie is very, very important. Especially as you get older, you feel that, hey, I can talk to this person, he'll be willing to listen to me. So that is another aspect of it. Like Howard Fitter, when he came last time, about 2 weeks ago, it was so wonderful to see him.
Oh, I was so pleased to meet him and
He was
spoke about almost 1.5 hours.
90 years old, and he still comes and he wants to talk to you and sit down and talk. That is so wonderful. We had another gentleman, Mr. Miller, and he was like that too. Always there, always helpful. So that's what I think it is.
That's a hallmark of SCORE mentors.
Right.
Really, thank you.
Thanks for listening to Mentor Conversations at SCORE Houston. If you're an entrepreneur or small business owner, we'd love to support your journey. You can reach us at 713-487-6565 or visit us at 8701 South Gessner, Suite 1200, Houston, Texas 77074. Our office is open Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., except for federal holidays. Walk-ins are always welcome. To learn more, to request free mentoring, or to register for workshops, visit us online at score.org/Houston. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and remember, at SCORE, we're here to help you thrive.